There is one aspect of the Switch 2 that I personally, I am surprised by how little I have seen people talk about this. There are people talking about it. It comes up here and there. But like, I don't know. It's a very, very big mystery. And I've been surprised I haven't seen like big major publications, everyone talking. It's kind of a quiet thing. It's kind of a conversation you got to go looking for, which is weird to me. The Switch 2, we now know, we know what the thing looks like. We know what the Joy-Cons look like. And the Switch 2 has a new button. And I'm not talking about the little buttons on the back behind the triggers. You know, the thing that some people seem to think it's another kind of trigger, analog triggers or something. I think it's probably just for taking the Joy-Con off. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the little button on the right Joy-Con below the home button. It's a C button. It is a button marked with a C. And when these the early leaked images started coming out, the CAD models and whatever, and these blurry images, at first it was like hard to tell what it was. I remember being like, is that a moon? Is it the sleep function or something? But now we have clear images that clearly display a button with a C on it, a C button. And it's weird. I mean, it's quite the mystery to me. Most buttons have an obvious function on a controller. Generally, you can look at a controller and you can tell what the thing does by whatever the button is, context, the history of controllers, whatever little picture is on the button. So it is so strange to have confirmation that the next Nintendo system has a button and nobody knows what it does. And I've been meaning to talk about it for a long time, so here we are. I'm talking about this C button. What in the heck would a C button on a Switch 2 do? What could that C mean? And I'll go over some of the potentials that people have put out there. There are a good number of words that start with C that this could be. It's actually kind of funny. There's kind of a lot of theories just because there are so many like Switch and device related words that start with C. I even saw one theory on Reddit that it was all of them, all of the C words that you could think of. It counts for all of them. I don't think so. It'd be confusing to put it all in one button, but I don't know. Who knows? Nintendo's weird. So let's start with something a little more basic. It has been posited that the C could stand for chat. It could just bring up a chat menu. And, there are problems with this. Nintendo has historically not liked to let people contact other people using their systems. There's a big, privacy and safety issue. They don't really want people communicating with each other using their Nintendo systems. So, maybe not. Maybe they don't want people to chat with each other on their Switches. However, I am not so against the idea. I don't believe that Nintendo, no matter what, is always going to have the same mindset as far as that goes. I think it's completely possible that they may be like, you know what, like every other system in the world lets people talk to each other. Why don't we? And I even proposed that idea in my my hypothetical Switch 2 concept kind of video that I did. I suggested that, hey, maybe they will let us connect with each other. Maybe it'll even be a camera. Maybe we can chat with each other. Maybe they'll just ease up in that department. So I think it's possible. I think it's possible that it could be a chat button. Although, okay, but I'm gonna bring up something that kind of applies to all of these. Each of these C words could just as easily have a symbol. You don't usually mark buttons with letters. Generally, people go with symbols. So like chat, I'm a little surprised that it wouldn't just be like a little, that little person profile, the little body with the head. I kind of feel like it would just be that. It would just be like a social button. Why would it have to be the letter C? Or like the word bubble. Every other device and software in the world uses the little word bubble. So I don't know. It's not too weird to imagine that there would be like a built-in chat function if they want the Switch 2 to lean way more into the whole communications thing. It is possible. I just don't know why it would be a C. So that's one potential outcome is that it ends up just being some kind of chat button. But let's go on. It has also been posited that C could stand for capture. There's some people saying this is probably just a second capture button because the left Joy-Con is where the capture button is. So wouldn't you want there to also be one on the right Joy-Con so that if people are playing split Joy-Con mode, either one of them can capture footage or screenshots or whatever? And it's another interesting theory. I'm pretty doubtful. It really just doesn't seem that necessary. You know, it really just does not seem like that was a need that needed to be met. And also, why would you have one capture button that's just like a circle and then another capture button that's a C? Why would you have two different capture buttons with different symbols on the same controller? So that's my biggest problem with that one right there. That's incredibly awkward. That's, you know, and Nintendo, they like simplicity. They like elegance and intuitiveness when they can achieve it. So that seems a little bit too clumsy to me. So next we have the theory that C could stand for camera. And and you know, there's always been the idea that like, well, what does the Switch not have that previous Nintendo systems had? Microphone and camera, that's really like it, you know? Like once you give it a microphone and a camera, then it has all the functionality of a 3DS or a Wii U gamepad or whatever. And there doesn't seem to be a camera on the thing. We've seen the body and there's no cameras on it, unless they're somehow like hiding somehow. I don't know. But let's just say for a moment that maybe the Switch 2 does have one or more cameras on it, and this is the camera button. We have to wonder, one, why it's a C, again, why it's a C and not just a picture of a camera. You know, imagine getting a new phone and you're searching through all of your apps trying to find the camera, and instead of a picture of a camera, it's just the letter C. It'd be slightly confusing. And then also, why would you need a button for the camera? Why would you need like any, and that's really the interesting thing here. Any button on the controller, it means inherently that this is going to be a function that you want to do at any time. At any given time, you need to have the option to just whack that button and this thing happens. So it's like, what could we possibly need to do with our controller because I mean, couldn't you just open the home menu and just select an option? You could have a bunch of like little options right there. There's still one button away and you just select it. Why does it need to be a button? So even if this was a camera button, why do you need to just bring up the camera instantly? This isn't a phone. You know, like even if a game requires the camera for some functionality or something, like why does it need to be button controlled? So that's the problem there. Also, really I'd say the biggest one is just the picture of the camera. Like why would you not just have a picture of a camera? And then there probably are some other theories floating around out there, but I feel like these are the biggest ones. And the final, the best theory so far is that the C stands for cast or connect, and that this controls the Switch 2's ability to wirelessly cast/connect with the dock and the TV. The idea is that the Switch allowed you to use the dock, you know, plug your Switch in and play your handheld game on the TV and vice versa. The Switch 2, if it's like more or less the same concept, what is something that Nintendo could do that would make it feel a little bit newer, a little more fresh, and not literally just a Switch, but more powerful? What's just some other little edge that it could have over the original? And I would certainly say that the ability to wirelessly and seamlessly connect to the TV, to the dock, that's cool. Like that, yeah, like that would be a really genuinely cool new feature. I mean, like, I guess personally, like functionally, it doesn't make that big of a difference. You know, if I want to play on the TV, I'd rather just plug the Switch in and use the Pro controller. I don't know why I would want to be holding the Switch in my hands, but I could see that being beneficial for someone, especially because like then it doesn't matter if you have a controller grip or a Pro controller or whatever. Anywhere you are, you can just connect to a dock pretty easily. This would be really cool for events, especially like tournaments and stuff. It would make it a lot easier to just like stream to a TV. So like there's definitely some functionality there. But Even better is if you're able to cast to the TV, then you potentially have a dual screen situation where you're casting one thing to the TV and you have another thing on your Switch. This would, of course, allow us to play Wii U, DS, and 3DS games in the same way that we could get DS games on our Wii U. Now, this would kind of open the door to all of that, all of the dual screen games that Nintendo has ever put out. I mean, a massive library, especially if you consider third party, you know, the DS and the 3DS, just the humongous library. So this potentially allows, this opens the door for that, which is great because, you know, obviously they've shut down all of those shops. You can't get any of that officially anymore. But now we finally have access to that stuff again. And I don't think Nintendo would create this feature just for that. I don't think it's that important to them to let us play these old games. I know it's pretty important to us, but I don't think it's super important for them. But it does also open up the door for just continuing down this path of dual screen gaming. And it's kind of, I'm slightly worried about that. I don't think it's a good idea to start just making games that really, I mean, I guess they're not going to. That's the thing. It's the Switch. It has to be playable regularly in handheld form. So if there is any like dual screen functionality in any game, it's going to just be for fun. It's just going to be for convenience. It's not going to be something that's absolutely required. At least I would hope. At least I would hope. I'm hoping that if this is true, it would just be something just for a little extra something to do. But so yeah, that's really the best theory that we've got so far, is that this is a cast/connect button for wirelessly connecting the Switch to the dock and thus the TV. And I will say, why just a C? I kind of feel like the little dot with the waves coming off of it, or just, I feel like you could visually communicate connection or casting in some way better than the letter C. Unless that person really was onto something, that the C does stand for too many things. So it did have to be a C. They couldn't sum up everything that this magical button can do in one symbol. They had to pick a letter that represented all of these things. I don't know. Technically, I suppose that is possible. Maybe the letter C will be like a big part of the Switch 2's identity. They're not going to call it the Switch C. That would be just absolutely disastrous. I don't think they're going to do that. But maybe, I don't know, the letter C might just be a thing. Hit that C button, you can capture, you can cast, you can connect, you can chat, you can camera. I don't know. You can perform all these functions that you could just perform by opening up the home menu and hitting a little hotkey thing. I still don't know why it has to be a button, but I don't know. It must be an important button. It must. The Switch controller already has plenty of buttons on it. They must have a darn good reason for giving us a whole entire brand new button. A C button, not a C stick. I guess technically we already had quote unquote C buttons on the N64 controller, and we've had C stick. I don't think this is going to be related to those. I don't know why it would be. But yeah, those are the primary theories floating around. Forgive me if I missed any of the better ones. Feel free to provide your own in the comments of this video. And points go to the worst ones, the silliest ones. What does the C on the Switch 2's C button not stand for? That's what I'm more interested in.